we have said, as you know, from the beginning, that we are open to other means of paying for the American Jobs Act and the provisions therein, as long as they meet the President's principles. We do not think it should be paid for by adding burdens to the middle class, adding burdens to our seniors. That's just not, those alternatives do not meet the President's principles. And we simply believe, as the vast majority of the American people believe, that it is fair and appropriate to ask those who have done very well to pay a little bit more. It is not, he believes, the President believes, too much to ask millionaires to pay a little bit more to ensure that we can put hundreds of thousands of teachers back to work, to ensure that we put construction workers on the job to rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure, our highways and bridges and schools. Not too much to ask millionaires and multimillionaires to pay a little bit more so that we can give a tax cut to working Americans. 160 million Americans who earn a paycheck and will get, if that provision within the Jobs Act is passed, on average a $1,500 tax cut next year. Certainly not too much to ask millionaires or multimillionaires to pay a little bit more to allow small businesses to get a tax cut, to allow small businesses to get a tax incentive, or businesses of all kinds to get a tax incentive to hire veterans returning from Iraq and Afghanistan, men and women who have served our country so bravely and nobly, who are returning home to a difficult jobs market with incredible skills and who deserve to get a job. So that's the choice that the President has put forward, and it's not a very complicated one, and it's not a controversial one except on Capitol Hill. Out in the country, it's an approach that has broad bipartisan support. So we are simply asking that the bipartisan support that is reflected out in the country be shared up on Capitol Hill.
Thanks,
Margaret?
Thanks,
Last one, Margaret? Yeah.
So I just want to clarify a couple questions that I don't really understand the answer to. At the top of the briefing, you were asked when and by whom the President was informed, and you've mentioned that he had been informed of the reports before the briefing. Can you tell us when and by whom?
I'll have to take that question. When he first was made aware of the reports, I simply was pointing out that while he did have his daily briefing, and this was the subject of that at 10 a.m., he had certainly been aware of the reports prior to that. Yeah.
And then, hang on a second, I'm still asking my question. On the question of whether, on how Gaddafi was taken, on whether he was taken alive and then killed, on whether that was an act of vigilantism or whether it was ordered by someone official, and if so, by whom it was ordered, on the question of whether the U.S. has just not yet been able to confirm this independently, or whether you're not going to try to because this is a NATO and a Libya deal. Can you answer those questions?
All of them?
I understand this is the only briefing we'll get on this today, so yes.
Well, there may be folks speaking about this elsewhere, but I'm not saying that for sure. I simply don't have any information for you on what are a number of very conflicting reports about Gaddafi's death, and so I'm not going to answer hypotheticals about if this is how he died, what our reaction is, or if he died that way, what our reaction is. It's just I think we need to wait and see, and I think we need to we certainly. For the TNC in general, we have called on them, as I said, to be transparent and accountable, and to move towards make that transition in an expedited fashion and according to what they've said in the past.
And would the President like to visit Libya, or does he have any plans to visit Libya?
I just don't have an answer to that question right now. But thanks very much, guys.
Can you say Secretary is carrying any message from the President to Libya, Afghanistan, and Pakistan?
Josh. Right.
Keep going, Goyle.
Okay. All right. Email me. Okay.